I know this is a room full of salespeople, so I know you can't be shy, right? Okay. I heard everyone networking. What a great event. Everyone looks so fabulous. How's everyone doing? All right, then. My name is Christy James. I do the morning show on 98.1 KISS FM. The Bay's old school. How many people love the old school? All right. You can make noise at the party. I know it's called Wind Down Wednesday, but we can turn it up, too. We definitely want to thank everyone for coming out. This is the first event, and this is a long time coming. Give it up to everyone who made this possible, because the National Sales Network is here in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And we definitely appreciate you coming out to this first Wind Down Wednesday. And right now I'd like to actually turn it over to the Executive Director of the San Francisco chapter for the National Sales Network, Karen Washington, not to be confused with Kerry Washington from Scandal, although they are both gladiators. So go ahead on, girl.
All right, I got to move the mic way down here. Hello, everyone. I am Karen Washington. I am the president of NSN. I'm actually the director of sales by day and president of NSN by day and by night. So, because we all know the power of networking never, ever sleeps. It affects every aspect of our lives, and that's why I'm so excited about launching a new chapter in the largest city in the United States. You did know that, right? Did you know that California, if we were a country, we will be larger than all but 6? Well, I'm excited about this turnout because I've learned since relocating from Michigan and leaving 91 inches of snow that the sunny state of California will stop when it rains. So, give me a show of hands if you are already maximizing an NSN membership here or in another state. All right, we got a lot of opportunity in the room. All right, well, for those of you that raise your hand, you do understand the importance of building a network. If you're here in this room, you are here for a reason, and that's because you want to create a powerful sales professional network to elevate your professional life. National Sales Network has over 19 chapters now that we're here, and over 50 companies at our sales conference, which, as you know, will be August 2nd through the 5th in Houston. I gave the plug, David. So what I always tell people is, don't wait to join when you need us. And you know what I mean by that, okay? So I would like to recognize my dream team who helped make this a reality today, who all worked really hard, and we all know that teamwork makes the dream work, so I want to acknowledge some key people. Carmen Lamont, VP of Membership, please stand. Give her a round of applause. Mr. Darrell White, our Director of Membership, please stand. Linda Ford, our VP of Events. All right. Nicole Marshall, our Director of Events. Amir Sadiq, our VP of Business Development. Mr. Craig Samuel, our Director of Business Development. He's back in the back, guys. He's doing double duty. Okay, I got to get this name right. Joey Amanchakua. It means I know God, so I have to get that right. He's our co-director of social media. And then also Miss Rachel Williams is another co-director of social media. Thank you, Rachel. And then, of course, we have Kevin Nichols. We let him on the committee. He's our mentoring committee chair. And I'd also like to acknowledge our national president, who I know for sure is jet lagging. He flew in today from Atlanta, Mr. David Richardson, to say a few words.
I'll just have to adjust that mic real quick. How's everybody doing this evening? Good, good. I'm going to try to keep my comments very, very brief because they have a very extensive program. And as you may have noticed, the schedule said we were going to start at 6:30, but we're starting a little bit later because we have all these salespeople in the room talking in the back of the room. What's up with that? We could have just networked the entire evening away. But I am very, very excited about this new chapter starting here in San Francisco. We're actually starting 3 new chapters this year, San Francisco, New England, and also Indianapolis. And I got to tell you that San Francisco is crushing the competition. Crushing the competition. I was in Indianapolis last week, and they had about 50 people at their event. They were struggling. They weren't as organized. But Karen has done a big and a very good job, and the team, an excellent job. There are really 3 types of people in the world. The first type of person gets out of the way of what's happening. The second type of person says, what happened? And then the third person is making it happen. So can we give Karen a standing ovation for making this happen? Let's give her a standing ovation. So after I give it a standing ovation, I have to correct her now. The conference is August 5th through the 8th in Houston, Texas, not the August 2nd through the 5th. It's the 5th through the 8th. It is our 19th annual conference. We're expecting 1,400 to 1,500 people to attend our 19th annual conference. We're going to have at least 45 to 50 companies present that will be giving away jobs. Did I say giving away jobs? All we have to do is show up. We will have a number of different workshops. We will have excellent speakers. Every conference we do is top shelf. We start every conference session on time because we believe in being extremely professional with all of our conferences. Now, let me backtrack just on the organization just a tad bit. 2 things. One, you don't have to be in sales to be a part of this organization. We are a professional association that encourages networking across all business functional areas, whether it's sales, marketing, finance, operations, general management, IT. Isn't this the IT city? So we encourage professionals to be part of our organization. And then the second thing, I know I only had 2 minutes, Karen, so I'm gonna close it out. The second thing I want to say is recently in 2012, we made a shift as an organization, a paradigm shift to reach out to all ethnic communities that want to be part of our organization. Now, never in the past was anyone excluded from our organization, but because our organization appeared to be an African-American only organization, that was the perception. So we changed our mission statement and we changed our logo to clearly communicate that we are a diverse organization across the board for all professionals. The last thing I want to say, before I get kicked off here, the last thing is I want to recognize 2 companies that are in the room that sponsor National Sales Network, not just here in San Francisco, but they sponsor all 19 chapters of our organization, as well as being a title sponsor at our annual conference. That first company is Medtronic, and anybody from Medtronic, I know Stan is here, I don't know whether anyone else is from Medtronic. Stand up, come on Stan, stand up. We want to recognize Medtronic for sponsoring all 19 chapters, as well as being a title sponsor at our annual conference, and they've done that over the last 6, 7, 8 years or more. The other company is Johnson & Johnson that falls into the same category. They've been a sponsor of our national conference since 1996. So I want to recognize J&J for being a sponsor of this chapter, as well as the other 18 chapters, and being a title sponsor of the national conference. So the J&J folks that are present in the room, could you please stand? Let's give J&J a round of applause. And so the final thing I'll say in my last 2 minutes here, so you shouldn't put a salesperson up here to talk on the mic to begin with, is that I encourage you to become a member of this chapter. As Karen was pointing out, you don't want to become a member when you get the pink slip. You want to be proactive and not reactive. So you want to become part of our organization. I guarantee you that you will get, for that $100 membership, far more than that $100 investment. And I'll point out that for the annual conference, if you're planning to attend, automatically it's $100 off on the annual conference if you're a member. So right away, you get your money back with that one benefit right there. So without any further ado, I thank you for coming out this evening. I thank you for being part of this new chapter startup event tonight and supporting Karen and her team. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, David. He just turned our program around, but that's okay. We're in sales and we know how to tap dance. So what I'd like to say is that, and one of the key foundational pieces of our success today and as we move forward are our sponsors. So without you, this is not possible. Your commitment to diversity in the Bay is visionary and invaluable to our success. So Johnson & Johnson, would you like to come up and say 1 minute, please?
How you guys doing? My name is Philip Moses. As was indicated previously, I work with Johnson & Johnson. So I do recruitment within medical devices. So Johnson & Johnson is a familiar name, a familiar company. Whenever you hear Johnson & Johnson, you hear or you think about baby shampoo or Band-Aids or things along those lines. But we operate within different realms. So we operate within consumer products, we operate within pharmaceuticals, and we operate within medical devices. So the idea behind me being here is to essentially to be a presence. You know, it's a real joy and a real blessing to be in a situation where we're starting something. And I was talking to somebody before the event about we all work with different chapters nationally, and the idea that you can come in and you have to try and correct problems or to improve a situation that existed, but to be able to come in on the ground level, to meet people from the beginning, to establish a reputation, and to work with a group from the building blocks and from the cornerstone is a real opportunity. So, you know, I welcome the opportunity not only, you know, to be here as a sponsor, but to develop relationships. You know, I now live in San Francisco. I'm new to this area. So I welcome the opportunity to help individuals with their career path and then hopefully get to know individuals as human beings, you know. It's a nice thing for me to be a recruiter and, I don't know, to be able to connect and improve lives. And there's something that I heard maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not a real self-help or self-improvement person. That just happens naturally, you know. I mean, just as you get old, you lose your hair, things along those lines. But something I read was you know, imagine, and I can't even quote who said it, so that's how ignorant I am. But it was, imagine the life that you would want to live and then go out and live it. So if I can help anybody in this room do that, I would welcome the opportunity. Karen, congratulations, because obviously we have a great room. We have a lot of energy in the room. There's a lot of networking, maybe a lot of hot air. I don't know. Maybe I'm blowing it right now. But I welcome the chance to get to know you guys as a group and to work together to improve our lives. And just to back up what our president had said was the national conference last year, Johnson & Johnson placed, I don't know if it was 8 or 9 individuals alone through that. So I would encourage you to attend that. I would encourage you to work with me locally here. If you don't want to do sales, if you're in IT, I have access to those types of positions as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak and just to be here in general. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys down the road. Thank you very much.
All right, Medtronic, we'll see if you can follow directions.
All right, good evening, everyone, and I'm happy to represent Medtronic PLC. I'll take my minute real quick here, but it's an exciting time at Medtronic for those of you who have been following the acquisition of Covidien to the Medtronic family. So we are about to really take off in terms of opportunity, globalization, economic value around the world. So this is the time to not only be watching Medtronic, but if you're looking for an opportunity within Medtronic, there's no better time than now. We've got 86,000 employees, $28 billion company, and we are 160 countries around the world today through the new venture. This year, we hired 12 folks from the NSN conference. We've got 2 in final stages of interviews today, and we've got a pipeline of over 30 active candidates that we are trying to find a home for. So our commitment is real. We do look to this chapter. We look to NSN as a pipeline of talent. And so you will see us throughout the year coming by. Our leaders, VPs, directors will be here to meet you and to expose you to the opportunities within the many business units and opportunities that we have. So without further ado, I will hand it over, and it's good to be a part of the organization.
All right, and the last sponsor is Granger, and they couldn't be here tonight, but let's give them a round of applause anyway. Thank you. And now, back to my taller sister, Christy.
All right, you guys still awake, right? We have a great speaker this evening. You guys still awake? Yeah. All right, all right. So, I had the pleasure of meeting Jeffrey earlier in the hallway. Someone was actually trying to recruit him in the hallway, so this man clearly knows what he's doing. He has taken the sales game and flipped it on its head. Jeffrey Hatchell is the president and CEO of Over the Top Management and Professional Development Services. He started in sales and has now turned it into an entrepreneurship, his business. Over his career, he's amassed sales as well as marketing and management experience with major accomplishments at Fortune 500 companies. You guys heard of a little company called American Express? You know, Wells Fargo. Well, he actually most recently held the position of vice president and business banking manager with Wells Fargo. He also worked for over 6 years with American Express in a variety of areas, including as their national sales director. And Jeffrey Hatchell is here tonight to give us some information. I'm not in sales, and I'm excited. I'm like, oh, wow, I want to hear what he has to say. I learned from Karen, networking makes your net worth grow, right? Did I say it right? Okay, cool. So help me make it grow. Jeffrey Hatchell, give it up for Jeffrey Hatchell.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It is my pleasure to be here, and I'd like to get a sense of who's in the audience. So by a show of hands, how many of you in the audience would say you work currently in a sales capacity, some type of a sales role, by show of hands? All right, you can put your hands down. By a show of hands, how many of you are an entrepreneur, have your own business, run your own business? Almost 50-50. All right, all right. How many students do we have? Any students? Any students? All right, a few, just a handful. And any other category that I may have missed? All right, what's the category? Engineering management. Thank you. What else? Yes?
Freelance editor.
Freelance editor. Freelance, that means you're an entrepreneur as well. Thank you. Yes? Job development. Thank you, thank you. And I know there's a variety of recruiters here as well that I spoke to. So that helps me just in terms of putting in perspective of who my audience is. So what I'd like to have you do at this time is to literally take a deep breath. And I want us to do it together on a count of 3. And what I want us to do is to inhale together, and I'm going to do it at the count of 3, and then we're going to hold it, and then we're going to release together. Everybody got it? So on the count of 3, take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Hold. Release. Better? All right. Now wake up. So I want to say wake up because time is ticking. And I only have about 20 to 30 minutes up here. So what I want us to do is to be attentive as it relates to the impact of time. Do you realize that we only have 295 more days before 2016 is here? In about 2 hours and 5 minutes and 31, 32, 33. Time is ticking. Can you look at the person sitting next to you and say, time is ticking? Yeah, it's moving on. Time is moving on. Can you believe we are already at 2015? 2016 is going to be here. The end of the quarter is almost here. And I want to really bring it to our attention because there's a lot of things that we've said we want to get done. There's a lot of things we said we want to do, and time is running out. So for those of us who said we want to move up into management, those who said I want to start my own business, those of you who aspire to be and do other unique things, time's running out on all of us. And I like to make this more of a wake-up call to really think about that. So you'll see the chart. The slide says creating an over-the-top year. As a coach, I am a big believer in we design our own destiny. Of course, I do believe in God, and I believe things do have a way of working out. But I also believe that if it's to be, it is up to me. And based on that, we can literally design out and plan out what we want to do, what we want to have, and what we want to be. So I call my company Over the Top Coaching, and I know many of us use the phrase over the top. Sometimes we use it in a negative way. And what I mean by that is sometimes, we'll talk about someone and we'll say, oh yeah, you know how that person is. They're a little over the top, they're kind of out there. They're, extreme. They're way beyond. They're just over the top. You know what I mean? But I like to view it from a positive perspective. How many of you would like to have an over-the-top bank account? How many of you would like to have over-the-top sales results? How many of you would like to have over-the-top revenues for your business? How many of you would like to have over-the-top as it relates to whatever it is that you desire? So from that perspective, I want to share with you a talk around literally creating an over-the-top year. How many of you like to celebrate New Year? Show of hands? Yeah? Like to party, hang out, celebrate? We do a variety of things to celebrate the new year, but my question is, what's really new about it? In many cases, we get excited and we have the countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year! And then it's back to the grind, back to the same old same. It's like, what's really new? Okay, the year has changed, it's just another number, but in order for the year really to change, we have to change. And I want us to really think about that. So, what I want to share with you is really something simple, and I came up with an acronym that I'd love to share with you. And this acronym that I came up with, it's a familiar phrase, it's familiar to many of us, and I even named the title of it based on a book that we're all probably familiar with. And it's around hope. And the acronym, it is HOPE, and I'm basing it on the audacity to hope that President Barack Obama wrote years ago before he actually became the president. And I want to share this from my perspective with you in terms of the audacity of hope, because I believe in the audacity, meaning the definition of audacity is to have the grit, to have the heart, to actually dare to do something that might be considered over the top. For Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, or even then Senator Barack Obama, to actually have the audacity to think he could become the president of the United States? Are you kidding me? When we hear the word audacity, that's another word that sometimes we can use for the negative or the positive. From a negative sense, that girl had the audacity to actually come over here and wear that dress. Can you believe she had the audacity to do that? Or someone else had the audacity to actually come and think they could take my position. Who do they think they are? They had the audacity. Versus from a positive standpoint, to have the audacity to say, yeah, I can be the president of my own company. Yeah, I can be the #1 salesperson in my organization. Yes, I can get a job and work for Johnson & Johnson, Medtronics, Granger, and any of the other sponsors or recruiters who are in the room. So I want to highlight with you the audacity to hope. And the 5-letter acronym for hope is H. Have a big dream. And I do mean a big dream because some of us have dreams, but we know good and well they're not big enough. Second, overcome failure. It's a part of life. Recognize it, expect it. You're going to go through some challenges, and that's just part of the process. P, perceive the best in every situation. Every situation? Yeah, every situation. You mean even when the crazy stuff happens? Yeah, every situation. It's your perception about how you take and look at a situation that determines how you're going to respond to it. And the E, when it's all said and done, you must expect. Expect to receive, expect something good, expect the best. So this is what I really want to share with you. So the first one, have a big goal. I want to share a story about a goal that I had and the way it turned out, because it really, I think, will shed some light on this story. So my goal, now I'll back up. So I went to Howard University, undergrad, ended up graduating, and while I was at Howard, I majored in marketing because I actually planned to have a job in sales. How many of you actually, who are in sales today, actually planned it? Like, I'm saying from high school, like, I actually want to go into sales. Anybody else? All right, so just a few. I see 2 hands out of about 100 people actually plan to say, yeah, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a sales rep. You don't hear that too much, do you? So, but for me, when I was in high school, I ended up working for McDonald's, and I remember during those years, they used to have most of the guys in the back. And I was flipping burgers, literally in the back flipping burgers, and one day they were short and they needed help up front. So they asked a couple of us in the back, can you come and help out? We'll train you real quick. We need you on the register. So I'm on register. And when I'm on the register, I'm literally being myself. And being myself is, for those of you who know me, yeah, that's me. Always smiling. So I'm at the register. Welcome to McDonald's. May I help you? And then, they'll say, would you like fries with that? Would you like the supersize? It was just a natural thing for me. They didn't tell me to sell or cross. I didn't even know about cross-selling. I didn't know what I was doing about upselling and any of those things. It was just a natural thing. Do you want this? Do you want that? Welcome. Look forward to seeing you coming back. That was just my style. One day my sister came in and she was like, you need to go into sales. So ever since then, sure enough, I said, all right, I'm going to pursue sales jobs. And when I was at Howard University, I actually needed to work while I went to school. And since I had to work, my thought was, you know what? Big companies have to hire people too. So I actually had the audacity to go to IBM and apply for a job. And guess what? Yeah, I got it. So, but those years let me know that goal setting works. Those early indications let me know it's great to make a plan. It's great to literally write things out. A lot of the books that we read, and they talk about goal setting, and they talk about without a goal, how can you score? You have to have goals, and ideally written goals with deadlines, with dates, for you to set and then have something to literally work towards. So for me, at Howard, it was going to sales. So I worked for IBM for about 2 years, and then after that, I decided I wanted to get some other experience in a different type of sales, so I ended up going to work for Bristol-Myers in consumer sales. Then after that, I heard that hardcore sales, you get paid bigger commission, so I ended up working for Pitney Bowes, selling postage meters. So you name the type of sale, for the most part, been there, done that. Ended up graduating, had a variety of offers. I didn't have a good GPA, but I sure have a great resume. And because of that resume, thank God things worked out. Got a variety of job offers. Went into industrial sales and did that for a few years. Was connected with a recruiter, and they ended up pulling me, relocated to South Florida. Worked down there, did pretty good. Had another connection, ended up with American Express. While I was with American Express, I was an account manager. Decided I wanted to become a director. That was the goal. And I said, in order to do that, I recognize that in sales, it's a pay for performance. The better you do, the more you make. And that creates the opportunity to be promoted. You have to perform where you are before you can even think about another level. So my goal was to be promoted, but in order to be promoted, my thought was I need to be at least number 1, 2, but at least in the top 5 out of about 50 salespeople. So that was the goal, and of course I said it, wrote it out, and did everything I knew to do in order to get there. Sure enough, I ended up ranked number 2 in all of North America, made a Grand Achievers trip to Bali, Indonesia, and it was beautiful. You know how they have the awards trips, all the nice perks and all the nice things. You don't work your butt off, but they do pay you all right, depending on how you do. So based on that experience, again, I'm learning more and more about the corporate environment, and how things work, and as I'm doing this, I'm reading a lot of inspirational books. And what I mean by that, I'm reading the books, and I know some of you, you may like them or you may not, but Anthony Robbins, Stephen Covey, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, all of them. I mean, I'm in the car, and I'm not listening to radio or music or CDs during those times. I'm literally listening to books on tape. I'm feeding myself. I'm feeding in terms of sales and things to do, how to close, how to speak, what do you do here, what do you do there with high situations. So I am literally using my car as an education form. So taking full advantage of it. So it's all up to us. Again, we all have a limited amount of time. So my thought is I got to be in the car driving all over in the booties for hours. I better maximize my time. So again, that's where the time comes into play, thinking about what are we really doing with our time? So did all of those things worked out, but based on that I started to journal and all that. Next you know, I'm starting to think, you know what? I think I want to become an entrepreneur. So make a goal. I want to become an entrepreneur. I was praying, trying to figure out what should I do? What's my mission? What should I do? What should I do? Then I decided and made a decision. I'm going to become a corporate trainer. Yep, that's it, a corporate trainer. But I have no experience in corporate training. I got sales experience, but not true corporate experience from that perspective. So I ended up leaving at that time American Express, and I went to work for what I call a no-name company. And the reason why I say it's a no-name company, because all the other companies I've told you about, you all heard of them, right? I bet you never heard of this company. So I went to work for a small boutique company, just about $7 million in annual revenue. That's it. So here it is. I had worked all of those years, all that great experience, promoted, director level. I got stock options because once you start doing good, you get, some of the other stuff. So all those things, had the title, was working on Wall Street, all that. And I'm like, you know what, I'm giving it up because time is running out. If I say I want to be an entrepreneur, I better go for it. And I better go for it now. So left American Express, went to work for this no-name company, and that was the big goal when everything started to flow. So as I was with this no-name company, and I keep calling it a no-name company, part of me learning the training, I had to sell it in. So if you sell it, then you can train. So as I'm selling it in, then I was finding that it's a little bit more challenging than I thought. This is kind of interesting. So I was doing my best and getting a little here and a little there. But then there was a reorg, some changes happened. And one day I went to work and my boss said, Jeff, come on in my office. Came in his office, and sure enough, the new president at the time came right behind him and closed the door right behind him. And in my mind, I'm like, oh no, don't tell me they're about to get me. Don't tell me this no-name company is about to fire me. Don't they know who I am? All this experience, I work for IBM, don't they know that? I was at Howard University, and this no-name company is going to fire me? Yeah. Yeah, I was fired, y'all. I was fired. Your Keynote speaker was fired. Can anybody else relate? You may not want to use the phrase retired. You may say I was reorged out. It's a friendlier term. But it happened. So in terms of overcome failure, so having that, all of a sudden after all of these years, I'm reading these books and I'm thinking of all these things and I'm going for it, and then I get fired from a no-name company? So all of a sudden it makes me scratch my head. It's like, oh, how in the world am I going to get fired? Now what am I going to do? And all those types of things. You know how you go through all of that. And I learned that I'm going to have to overcome this. I'm going to have to do something different. So then all of a sudden I'm starting to read books like Get Your Mojo Back. My goodness, for a man to get fired, that doesn't feel good. But anyway, so went through it. So part of the audacity of hope is you do have to overcome failure. Getting fired is part of the process. And if we start to view it from that perspective, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is just leading to something better and something else. So that was the thought. So overcome failure is the second one. Now I'm going to transition in terms of perceive the best in every situation. So given that situation, ended up being fired, and then I had to perceive the way I viewed it as an opportunity to do something else. So right around that time, I had just been relocated to California, And I remember just thinking about what I was going to do, and based on the cost of living out here, I decided, you know what, entrepreneurship, I'm going to put you on the back burner for a little while, and I'm going back to corporate. So I ended up getting a job with Wells Fargo, right down the street. And actually, I ended up going for a position managing a sales team, and you know what? I didn't get that either. I'm like, come on. But what I found out was the way I responded in the interview, even though I didn't get the position I wanted, they had another job for me reporting to the EVP. So I went to work reporting to an EVP doing what I would call project management type work. So it wasn't exactly sales, but I was doing things related to the sales team, and I was doing that. But I said, you know what? I'm going to perceive this, even though it's not the position I want, I'm going to perceive this as an opportunity to prove myself, to demonstrate, to learn all that I can about banking. Well, I report to an EVP, and all of a sudden I had to look and find the good in my situation. And I want all of you to think about that in your current situation. If it's not ideal, if you're not exactly where you want to be, I want you to think about what's good about it. And find something good in your current position. And that's what I had to do. I literally took the time and started to think, all right, what's good about this? I work for Wells Fargo. I work in San Francisco, not a bad place to work. I report to an EVP. So let me leverage this and do the best job that I can, and which I did. And after 6 months, sure enough, she promoted me to the position I originally went for. And it was about perception and perceiving that the role I'm in is good, and based on my attitude, when an opportunity presented itself, I took advantage of it. So, the final E in the audacity to hope is expect. So, when it's all said and done, you really have to expect and believe and really have faith that all things work together for my good. And you have to be a believer in that, seriously. The more you believe it, the more that you are convinced that things do work together for my good, no matter what happens, no matter if I'm fired, no matter if I don't get the position that I actually want, no matter if I actually went for the big, audacious, hairy goal that everybody talks about, and I got fired, but I went for it, is to still expect that I'm going to get what I ultimately want. So I ended up being promoted. I led a team of 10 business bankers in the East Bay, and I did that, but I still had the nudge for entrepreneurship. I still had the hunger. I still had the desire. I still had it in me, the entrepreneurial bug. So what I ended up doing, I ended up hiring a coach, an executive coach. Then I decided that I was going to take some executive coaching classes. So I already had my MBA, but I said, you know what, I want to become a coach, and I think this might be a way of helping me getting back to being an entrepreneur. So I went to Coach U, took classes. After I went through a certification process, I started out coaching my friends. Thankfully, I had a network of others that I could tap into. And I ended up sharing with them what I was doing, and one of my friends that I went to Howard with at undergrad, he got a Harvard MBA. He was like, oh, you're doing coaching now? Why don't you coach me? I'm like, sure. So I started coaching him. Mind you, I still have my regular day job. So I'm coaching him on the side, and he's loving it. He's like, oh, this is great. This is good stuff. Oh, man, I'm taking notes. Oh, I'm changing things. I'm taking my strategy. He had his own business. Oh, this is good. This is good. Next, you know, he wanted to tell his friends. And he did. And as he told his friends, they told their friends. And as they told their friends, they told their friends. Next thing you know, who's my client? Where is he? Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson became my client. PG&E became my client. Google became my client. American Express became my client. Wells Fargo became my client. Kaiser became my client. Next thing you know, I'm getting more business on the side than I have in corporate America. And I'm a VP. I'm getting paid more on the side than I am in corporate. So, you know, I had to do the next logical thing, right? You know, right? I went on vacation. Yeah, I ended up, at that time, I celebrated my 40th birthday and said, you know what? This is a crossroad time. And again, I'm thinking, time is ticking. Am I going to get back into this entrepreneurship thing? Am I willing to take the risk again? Am I willing to go for it again? Yeah. I did. And I went for it. And sure enough, things started to happen. Next, you know, I'm doing all types of things, and I'm traveling, and I had an opportunity meeting David back in 2006 in Atlanta. I had the opportunity of presenting at the National Urban League. I presented at the National Black MBA Association. I presented at a variety of conferences all over the country. I'm traveling, I'm coaching, I'm training, I'm doing leadership development work. I'm living my dreams. I mean, life was good. The money was there. Life was great. Things were awesome because I expected to receive. Then all of a sudden, you know what happened, right? Yeah, you know life happens. Life happened. So sure enough, the economy took a turn. And I remember one of my first conversations with my client at PG&E it was the person over supply diversity. She said, you know, I'm really sorry, Jeff, to tell you, we're gonna have to break our contract, and we're not gonna be able to keep you on. And I was like, that's all right. That's all right. Everything's going to work out. I believe God's going to work it all out. It's all going to work out. I literally told her that. It's all going to work out. That's all right. That's all right. Next, you know, Kaiser, Jeff, I'm sorry. Contract's expired, Johnson. Jeff, I'm sorry. The budget's gone. Jeff, I'm sorry. Budget this. Jeff, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I'm like, wow. Isn't life interesting? But having the audacity to hope. So then, again, having that goal, overcoming failure, perceiving the best, what could I do based on this situation of leveraging it and maximizing it for me? And I had to think, what's good in my current situation? At first I'm like, no thing. Not nothing, no thing. And I had to think about that. What is good in this situation? And then I paused and I recognized, I know a lot of people. I'm connected in so many different ways. I'd imagine, out of all of these clients, somebody would have a job for me. Yeah, and they did, and it worked out. I ended up reconnecting with American Express, got in, ended up getting another role as a director level and leading a team. But that's what I mean. Things always work out, and we go through processes, and we go through changes, and we go through different scenarios. And that's why I really want us to keep this in mind, this acronym. Always keep the goal before you. Always recognize you have to overcome failure. Every situation, you have to find the good. And then finally, when it's all said and done, even when you are knocked down to your feet, you better expect it's all going to work out. Things are going to come together. I believe that all things work together for my good, and that it is so. And as a result of that, what I want to share with you as a closing comment is recognize that fat lady has not sung. It ain't over. It ain't over. And I'm using the word ain't. It ain't over. I know it's not. But it's not over. I know I started out saying time is ticking, but the thought is that we're still here. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm still here. I'm still here. Yes, which means we still have an opportunity. We still have an opportunity to revive that goal, to take another look again, to see the good in our current situation, to think about where we are versus what we want and where we ultimately want to be, to think about how can I maximize my situation, how can I take full advantage of being involved in the National Sales Network. What could I do not only to get involved, but to demonstrate my commitment by actively helping, not being a bench warmer, not necessarily being someone saying, I just want a job, that's it. You know, I just want to hear a good speaker. Don't try to make me actually work. Come on. But that's how you receive is through your giving of your gifts. The more that you are willing to serve, to give, the more that your gifts, your talents get to blossom and others see them. When you're willing, one of the ways that I got as much business as I got was because I gave away what I was doing. I wasn't charging for it. I was literally saying, I will demonstrate. I will just do a complimentary workshop. If you like it, bring me back. And then you can start to, pay me what I really want to be paid. But the thought is, we have to create opportunities to get in the door, and so many of us are just looking at, what can I get out of it? What can I get out of it? Versus, what can I give back? So as we are all here for the National Sales Network, and I know we may have different purposes, I just want to challenge all of us to think about leveraging our gifts, our talents and our skills in this organization to help someone else out. Quite honestly, before I came and since they asked me to speak, I thought it was only appropriate that I become a member myself. So I am. And I want to close with this. I just want to challenge all of you to think about it. And I'm sure Karen will share her thoughts as well. But I do want to encourage each of you to think about it. This is beautiful. When I came in, I was like, oh, they're having it at the Fairmont. It's in San Francisco. Then as people were coming through the door, I'm like, Karen did it. And team, as she said, constantly gives credit to the whole team. Did a beautiful job. And I want to thank each and every one of you for even allowing me this opportunity. So I want to close with all of us repeating the acronym together. And I want to have you stand up. Let's stand up. And I want us to say it together in terms of the acronym of the audacity of hope. So, H. O. Overcome failure. P. Perceive the best in every situation. And E. Expect to receive. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
How can people find you and find out more about Over the Top?
OverTheTopCoaching.com, right there on the screen.
Sure. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep.
All over the top?
All over the top.
Okay.
Working on some of it, but yeah.
Okay then, so make sure you grab the information. And there is going to be plenty of networking, so please, we want to invite everyone to stick around, meet a couple of people, grab some business cards, say hello, and also stop by the table and learn more about the National Sales Network. You kind of struck a chord when you said, when you get that call in the office and then they shut the door and you're like, oh man, here it goes. Well, as a member of the National Sales Network, you don't have to worry about that because you have tons and tons of people at your fingertips ready to help you out with that next position. They always say you're 9 people away from that dream job, or actually 6 people away from that dream job. And imagine if you take the time to go to the conference August 5th through the 8th in Houston, then you will have a ton of people there that you can network with. Over 50 plus sponsors if you are in sales or if you had to do events and you had to try and find sponsors for events. You know it's not an easy thing to do, but if you already have a network where you can go and have someone who has a contact for you or who has an idea, for $100, I think that's definitely a small price to pay. And you can get more information about the National Sales Network right out there in front of the booth. So make sure, on your way to the bar, see, there you go. All right, $100. If you bought a cocktail already, then we know you have $20, so you're one way there. And the cocktail isn't going to even help you get a job when you get that call in the office. I'm just saying. Hashtag keep it real, okay? Once again, thank you so much to Karen, the president of the National Sales Network in San Francisco. Join it, be a part of it. I'm Christy James with Renell and Christy in the morning. Someone said they don't listen to radio. There's an app for that. Right there, yes. Okay, we're not calling out names, but I am pointing. There is an app, download it, iHeartRadio. It's totally for free. And check us out if you're up early in the morning, 6 to 10. I appreciate it, 98.1 KISS FM. Thank you all so much. Get home safely and stick around, mingle, mix, and definitely become a member. That $100.